What makes Australia one of the wealthiest nations in the world, despite its remote location and vast desert landscapes? How did this island nation, once a British colony, go from being a sparsely populated outpost to one of the globe's most successful economies? This is Australia, straddling the Indian Ocean basin and the South Pacific, with a population spread across a massive landmass, including more than 8,000 islands. Australia's rise to riches is a fascinating tale of luck, strategy, and global shifts. Once known as the lucky country, its residents are now among the wealthiest people on the planet, ranking fourth in the Global Wealth Report 2022. But is Australia's wealth built on solid ground, or is the country heading toward a dangerous fall? Let's dive into how Australia's economy got rich and why it might just be getting dumber. How does Australia become rich? Australia's economic success is no accident. While some may credit luck, the true driving force behind the nation's wealth lies in its abundant natural resources: iron ore, coal, gas, and gold. Sitting on a treasure trove of these valuable materials, Australia has positioned itself as a global powerhouse, especially when it comes to iron ore. In 2023, the country shipped out a jaw-dropping 895 million tons of iron ore, accounting for 56% of the world's seaborne trade in the resource, which generated over 110 billion Australian dollars in export income. The real turning point came in the early 2000s, when Australia experienced an explosive mining boom. The global demand for raw materials, particularly from China, catapulted Australia's mining industry to new heights. From 2000 to 2014, iron ore exports to China skyrocketed, rising from a modest 88 million tons to over 700 million tons annually. This surge in exports transformed Australia, driving up living standards and fueling a dramatic rise in household income, wages, and employment rates. However, the mining boom wasn't without its challenges. While the influx of export revenues benefited many, industries like manufacturing and agriculture struggled due to the strengthening Australian dollar, which was inflated by the mining sector. Some sectors, such as engineering firms supplying mining equipment, profited, but others, like textiles, felt the sting of higher import costs. Australia's remarkable timing in the global economic landscape further fueled its prosperity. While the world wrestled with the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis, Australia's mining boom shielded it from economic turmoil. As other nations faced rising unemployment and recession, Australia flourished, largely untouched by the global downturn. The mining booms of the past have historically brought waves of migration, reminiscent of the gold rushes of the 19th century. These influxes of people, seeking new opportunities, have reshaped the nation's economy and culture. In recent years, Australia has seen an unprecedented wave of migrants, drawn by opportunities in education and skilled labor. This surge, largely fueled by the economic stability born from the mining boom, has left an indelible mark on Australia's diverse cultural and economic landscape. The resource curse, more like a blessing for Australia. Often, countries rich in natural resources are plagued by the resource curse, where their wealth becomes a barrier to broader growth. Yet, Australia has flipped this narrative. Instead of being held back by its abundant resources, it has harnessed them as a powerful asset, creating sustainable and transparent systems that govern resource extraction. Unlike many nations, Australia avoids corruption by managing its mining licenses and revenues with integrity, ensuring that its natural wealth fuels the economy without draining it. However, the true brilliance of Australia's economy lies in its ability to diversify. While mining remains important, the country thrives in various sectors like agriculture, manufacturing, and services. This diverse foundation makes Australia's economy robust and adaptable, allowing it to weather global shifts with ease. Another critical factor in Australia's thriving economy is immigration. By embracing policies that attract students and skilled workers, Australia has experienced a population boom, growing nearly 45% since 1991. This influx of talent and labor has not only sustained the economy, but propelled it forward, increasing GDP year after year. In a world where population growth is often stagnant, Australia's dynamic, ever-growing workforce has helped it remain competitive on the global stage. Despite its smaller size compared to economic giants like the US or China. Why is the Australian economy not a giant? And what economic problems could impact its future growth and stability? Australia's economy may seem rich, but it's far from a global powerhouse. Despite its wealth, the country's economic structure is far less sophisticated than one might expect. Ranked 22nd globally by size, Australia lags nations like Turkey and Italy. Geographically isolated with a small population spread across vast coastal distances, Australia faces high transportation costs. Shipping goods from Australia to distant markets like the US, Europe, and even Asia is both costly and time-consuming. While its primary exports, iron ore, coal, and gas, bring in wealth, Australia's economy remains overly reliant on mining and agriculture, industries with relatively low economic complexity. This lack of diversification has led to a steady decline in economic complexity over the years. From 1995 to 2021, Australia fell dramatically in rankings, while trading partner China surged ahead. The result? Australia's economy may look solid on the surface, but it's increasingly vulnerable to global shifts, especially since its top export, iron ore, relies heavily on Chinese demand. Adding to the challenges, Australia suffers from low productivity growth. This means the country isn't increasing its output per worker at a pace that can improve living standards in the long run. Dynamic. The Australian economy has experienced rapid growth and development over the years, but its capacity to stay competitive and dynamic is now in question. While businesses and industries once thrived on innovation, adaptability, and entrepreneurial spirit, recent IMD World Competitiveness rankings show Australia struggling to keep up. The country now ranks 61st out of 63 countries when it comes to entrepreneurship, and workplace productivity has plummeted from 20th to 41st place. Australia's performance in business efficiency is also disappointing, with significant gaps in areas like compensation, employee training, and skills development. This isn't just a matter of numbers. It's a reflection of Australia's changing economic landscape. With major cities like Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, and Perth expanding rapidly to accommodate growing populations, the demand for infrastructure, roads, public transport, utilities, and housing has never been greater. Despite decades of focus on property, housing affordability has become a major challenge, with prices skyrocketing and rental markets sizzling. Australians have long seen home ownership as a symbol of wealth and security. But now, it's increasingly out of reach for many. As the Australian government grapples with these issues, there's an urgent need for policies that encourage more investment in research, development, and productivity-enhancing initiatives. This includes bolstering education, training, and support for businesses striving to stay competitive in a globalized world. What is behind the unexpected resilience in prices? Australia's population surged by over 30%, reaching 26 million, largely driven by a boom in immigration. This influx has led to skyrocketing demand for housing, pushing home prices to new heights. Rising construction costs have compounded the issue. Since 2021, the cost of materials has surged by 30%, forcing many construction firms to fold due to financial strain. This has resulted in fewer homes being built, further escalating prices. Local councils, with their restrictive planning rules and zoning regulations, are another obstacle, especially in cities like Sydney, where development is often limited. These factors create an unsustainable housing market where properties are traded at inflated prices, supported by borrowed money, creating an artificial economy of paper wealth. However, Australia's wealth is built on a narrow foundation. The economy relies heavily on mining, particularly non-renewable resources like coal and gas, and the export of fossil fuels. This makes the country vulnerable to volatile commodity price cycles and shifts in global energy policies, particularly those aimed at reducing emissions. While Australia's resources should have propelled it into a diversified, innovative economy, The country's over-reliance on housing and mining has stunted growth in other sectors. Can its economy keep up with the times? Let us know your thoughts on how Australia can shift gears for the future. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more amazing videos.